Are you serious?
So they do a lot of ceremonies there.
That's great. Yeah. You know, that's one place where I've been home. It's almost to that. I mean, that was to me like that. Just you know, when you see that shit, when you start them bigger well, my great so he was there when that attack happened. His wife, she stood on the front porch of the house and watched. That would be tough. Yeah.
Hey, Eddie, what time does the rec department close? I wonder if we could do a 4 o'clock meeting. I may investigate that. School traffic, these parents that get out of their cars and like wander around like it's a social committee, it's very hard to get all the traffic out.
Hey, you're on the line. I'll try to get out of there.
It's the it's these men that are the worst.
Brag on you and you. Well, I think you were the holdup. I'm glad this is a perfect example. It took on me and Patty coming down to get stuff at 6:15 to get up there. Hey? I think you was. I try to get in and out there as quick as I can. It's crazy, especially
Hey, I think we do an excellent job moving through.
You'll never hear me complain about y'all, for sure. That's all right. Call the meeting of Glasgow City Council to order. Would you please stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Norris, would you lead us in prayer, please?
as we begin this new year with each of you, just keep your heads bowed and have a private prayer, and then I'll lead us for a brief prayer, okay? Father, what a blessing to be a part of a community that is dedicated to making things better for you, not for us individually. We thank you, Lord, for the unity and love of the people of Glasgow, the hard work, the dedication to family and friend, and to the ideals of a better place to live. We acknowledge we need you. We need your guidance as those who sit at the table and those who lead. May there be a spirit of unity and discussion, friendly discussion, differences of opinion, but we pray that you'll bring us to a conclusion that will honor you and honor the respect and the responsibility given to us by the people. We thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
City Clerk, have the roll call, please.
Bell.
Present.
Eubank.
Present.
Dodd.
Yes, ma'am.
Gross.
Here.
Honeycutt.
Here.
Kirkpatrick.
Yes, ma'am.
Lowry.
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Norman.
Here.
Norris.
Here.
Trigg.
Here.
Butcher.
Here.
All present.
You have in front of you the minutes of December 10th, 2018 minutes. Look over those, and I'll entertain a motion to accept those or make any corrections.
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Witcher. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Gross. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are accepted. First on our agenda will be the swearing in of a new firefighter. Chief, you want to introduce him, and we'll just stand out here in front, swear him in. Probably need to step up here. We don't have that mic.
Okay, new firefighter, City of Glasgow, we have Drew Masterson. Mr. Masterson, 24 years old, from White Mills, Kentucky. He started with us in our training program on November 5th last year, and actually went on shift on December 29th. So we do have him on shift already, but he's been an excellent addition to the Glasgow Fire Department. We've been training him pretty intensely for the last 3 months, or 2.5 months. Tonight with him we have his wife, Anna, his father and mother, Chuck and Laura Masterson, sister Erin, and his grandmother, grandfather, Doris and Dilbert Masterson. All in the back. His father is going to actually be pinning the badge on him tonight after he's sworn in. Is a lieutenant with Elizabethtown Fire Department. So. And I believe Drew's brother is also on Radcliffe Fire Department, so he's joining the family business with us. No further ado.
We'll say aye, and you can state your name. I,
Drew Masterson.
solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as I continue a citizen thereof, and that I will fairly execute to the best of my ability the position of firefighter according to law. I do further solemnly swear or affirm that since the adoption of the present Constitution, I, being a citizen of this state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within this state, nor out of it, nor have I sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have I acted as a second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person through offending, so help me God. You do?
I do, yeah.
Congratulations, Drew. Welcome to the fire department.
I know we've caught grief for this, but we do not have the rope around his waist this time. And like I said, as administrations change, traditions change. But what we have been doing for recruits lately is we've given them a sweatshirt, basically with the year that they were hired in their recruit class. Glasgow Fire Department recruit class for 2018 Drew Masterson.
Before we get into the total agenda, I would like to thank the county judge and the fiscal court for allowing us to use their facility tonight. We still have an elevator non-working, but we're in the process of got some of the parts in and going to have the rest in this coming week. So hopefully, at the worst case scenario, we'll have to intrude on them probably for one more meeting. But hopefully, we'll be back together where everybody can use the elevator and everybody that wants to be at our meetings will be there. The next order of business, municipal order appointing Jamie McFarland as city clerk. You want to read that and then we'll vote on it?
Sure. City of Glasgow Municipal Order. On order of the mayor, Jamie McFarland is hereby appointed as the city clerk of the City of Glasgow, subject to the approval of the City Council on the 14th day of January 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor.
Do I hear a motion?
I moved.
Terry Bennell moves. Joe Trigg seconds. Everybody that approves, would you please answer in nay? Accept that proposal as nay? I mean, as, excuse me, as aye.
Aye.
All those agree, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Sorry. You're hereby appointed. We can go through the ceremony right here if you want to, swearing in. Should have recorded this. I solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, so long as I continue a citizen thereof, and that I will faithfully execute, to the best of my ability, the office of Glasgow City Clerk according to law. I do further solemnly swear or affirm that since the adoption of the present Constitution, I, being a citizen of the state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within this state, nor out of it. Nor have I sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have I acted as a second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending, so help me God.
I do.
Thank you. We have next is an executive order pertaining to the development and maintenance of the emergency management for Glasgow and Barron County.
Read that. Office of the Mayor, Executive Order, whereas KRS 39B-010 subsection 1, 39B-030 subsection 3, 39C.050 subsection 3, and applicable Kentucky administrative regulations requires the development and maintenance of a local emergency operations plan which sets forth the local government organizational structure, policies, procedures, and guidelines for the management and coordination of all disaster and emergency response in Barron County and its cities, and whereas KRS 39B-030 subsection 3, 39B.060 subsection 2, 39C.050 subsection 3, applicable Kentucky administrative regulations and planning guidance issued by the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management requires the local emergency operations be officially approved and adopted by signed executive order of the county judge, executive, or mayor, and whereas the director of the Glasgow Barron County Office of Emergency Management has submitted the Glasgow Barron County Emergency Operations Plan to the mayor for official approval and adoption in accordance with the aforementioned laws, administrative regulations, and planning guidance. Now therefore I, Harold Armstrong, Mayor of the City of Glasgow, by virtue of the powers and authorities vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and in accordance with the provisions of KRS 39A to 39F, applicable Kentucky administrative regulations, and the Kentucky Barron County Emergency Management Ordinance, do hereby order and direct the following. Number 1, the Glasgow Barron County Emergency Operations Plan is officially approved and adopted effective the date of this executive order as shown herein. Number 2, the conveyance of the official approval and adoption of the Barron County Glasgow Emergency Operations Plan through this executive order shall remain in effect 4 years or until superseded by a subsequent executive order promulgated in accordance with KRS 39B.030 Section 3, KRS 39B.060 Section 2, KRS 39C.050 Section 3, applicable Kentucky administrative regulations and planning guidance issued by the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management. A copy of the officially approved and adopted Glasgow Barron County Emergency Operations Plan, including this executive order, shall be placed on file for public inspection during regular office hours in the Glasgow Barron County Office of Emergency Management. Signed this January 14th, 2019, Mayor Harold Armstrong, City Clerk Jamie McFarland.
Do I have a motion that we accept this? Moved by Councilman Gross. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Norman. All approve, signify by stating aye. Aye. All those opposed? So be it. It's passed. A municipal order appointing Tracy Shirley as Director of Emergency Management for Glasgow and Barron County.
City of Glasgow Municipal Order on order of the Mayor, Tracy Shirley is hereby appointed Director of Emergency Management for Glasgow Barron County under the provisions of KRS 39B.020. The position description is contained in the attachment as Exhibit A and subject to the approval of the Glasgow City Council this 14th day of January 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Attest Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Next order is municipal order appointing Marcus Thurman, John Stevens. Oh, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Benel. All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All that don't approve, nay. It's approved. Municipal orders up to next one. Municipal order appointing Marcus Thurman, John Stevens, Gary Chenoweth, Charles Kearney, and Anita May as Deputy Directors for the Emergency Management of Glasgow and Barron County.
Municipal order, City of Glasgow, on order of the Mayor, Marcus Thurman, John Stevens, Gary Chenoweth, Charles Kearney, and Anita May are hereby appointed as Deputy Directors of Emergency Management for Glasgow, Barron County under the provisions of KRS 39B.30 subsection 1. The position description is contained in the attachment as Exhibit A and subject to approval of the Glasgow City Council this 14th day of January 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
I hear a motion that we accept that resolution.
Motion.
I have one by Councilman Gross, and I have a second by Councilman Kirkpatrick. All in favor?
Are those new appointees, I mean, have they served before or what?
I think they were already on there. This is just a matter of us going through and renewing everything with Mr. Shirley, correct?
Correct. Fair enough.
Those approved signify by saying aye. Aye. Those that don't, nay. It's approved. Next resolution is creating a mayor-council plan for continuity of government as it relates to the city emergency operation.
Mayor, I believe you skipped one. I believe you skipped one.
Adopting Commonwealth State emergency plan.
I did.
Okay, so I'll read it.
Some of these are pretty lengthy, but we will go through the motion anyway. Go through the reading of each one of them. You have a copy, but we'll go through them.
City of Glasgow, resolution adopting Commonwealth of Kentucky statewide emergency management mutual aid and assistance agreement. Be it resolved by the City of Glasgow that the Commonwealth of Kentucky statewide emergency management mutual aid and assistance agreement, a copy of which is attached hereto as Exhibit A, is hereby adopted. Be it further resolved by the City of Glasgow that Harold Armstrong, Mayor of Glasgow, is hereby designated as primary representative, and that Brian Marr, Glasgow Fire Chief, is hereby designated as the alternate representative, and both are hereby authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city, adopted this 14th day of January 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Hear a motion to approve that resolution?
So moved.
So, Martin Witcher. I have a second by Mr. Councilman Neal. All approved, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? It also passes. Now we'll get to resolution creating a mayor council plan for continuity of government as it relates to the city emergency operation plan.
City of Glasgow resolution creating a mayor council plan for continuity of government as it relates to the city's emergency operation plan. Whereas the Glasgow City Council deems it necessary to provide for the orderly succession of office of mayor in event of the absence for the purpose of this ordinance. Absence means the named person responsible for the performance of a function during an emergency situation is not physically present at the location where decision-making regarding emergency planning and response is taking place, and he's not available by radio, telephone, or other method of direct two-way communication to take part in the decision-making process, or disability of the mayor as defined in KRS 83A.130 Section 10. A vacancy of the office of mayor shall be filled in accordance with KRS 83A.165 and with Section 152 of the Kentucky Constitution. And whereas the line of succession contained in this resolution is to ensure that a city governmental official is available to serve in the absence or disability of the mayor. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Glasgow, Commonwealth of Kentucky, when the absence or disability of the Glasgow Mayor Harold Armstrong shall prevent his or her serving in the office and performing the duties and responsibilities of mayor, these duties shall be administered temporarily by, I need a name.
That's going to be the mayor pro tem as soon as we elect him.
By the mayor pro tem as soon as elected, as set forth in KRS 83A.130, and he shall have the powers specified in KRS 83A and KRS Chapter 39A.100, Section 200. In event of the absence or disability of the person designated by the mayor to act in the mayor's absence or disability, the Glasgow City Council shall select, as outlined in KRS 83A.130 Section 2, and interim mayor pro tem to serve with the same authority and restrictions as the mayor's designee until the mayor's designee or the mayor can resume their duties, enacted this blank day of January 19th or 14th of January 2019 by the Glasgow City Council. And I believe we need a voice vote on that because I think you have to have the names of the voters on that.
Correct. Do I hear a motion that we accept this as read?
Motion.
Got one by Councilman Norris, and I got a second by Councilperson Kirkpatrick. And I'll need a voice vote on this because we all have to sign in at the bottom of this.
Fidel,
Aye.
Eubank,
Aye.
Gantz,
Yes, ma'am.
Gross,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
Yes.
Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Lowry,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Trigg,
Yes.
Witcher.
Yes.
All 12 approved. And before we leave tonight, I'd like each one of you all to sign the bottom of this, please, showing your vote. Next resolution is designation of applicants agent for the purpose of Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Okay.
We'll have to fill in the blanks after these.
Resolution, be it resolved by the City Council of Glasgow that a person to be designated is hereby authorized to execute and, in behalf of the Glasgow City Council, a public entity established under the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, this application and to file it in the appropriate state office for the purpose of obtaining certain federal financial assistance under the Disaster Relief Act or otherwise available from the President's Disaster Relief Fund, that the Glasgow City Council is a public entity established under the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, hereby authorizes its agent to provide to the state and to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for all matters pertaining to such federal disaster assistance, the assurances and agreements printed on the reverse side hereof. And those are printed on this document, and they're quite extensive. I don't think you want me to read all those, but you've probably read those before. It's to get emergency relief from FEMA. And this is designating the person who's authorized to represent the Glasgow City Council for those purposes.
I think it should be the mayor in that position, and if it is, we'll fill that in. Do I have a motion? Do we accept this resolution?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Benale. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Witcher. All approved?
Is this with the mayor as the designation?
Yes, that should be the mayor.
Okay.
And we'll fill that in as such. Do I have a second by Councilman Witcher? All approved, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carries. The next is a resolution adopting the National Incident Management System, which is parentheses is NIMS.
A resolution adopting the National Incident Management System, NIMS, whereas in the Homeland Security Directive, HSPD Section 5, the President directed the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security to develop and administer a National Incident Management System, NIMS, which would provide a consistent nationwide approach for federal, state, local, and tribal governments to work together more effectively and efficiently to prevent, prepare for, respond to, and recover from domestic incidents regardless of cause, size, or complexity. And whereas the collective input and guidance from all federal, state, local, and tribal homeland security partners has been and will continue to be vital to the development, effective implementation, and utilization of a comprehensive NIMS, and where it is necessary that all federal, state, local, and tribal emergency management agencies and personnel coordinate their efforts to effectively and efficiently provide the highest levels of incident management, and whereas to facilitate the most efficient and effective incident management, it is critical that state, federal, local, and tribal organizations utilize standardized terminology, standardized organizational structures, uniform personnel qualification standards, uniform standards for planning, training, and exercising, comprehensive resource management, and designated incident facilities during emergencies or disasters. And whereas the NIMS standardized procedure for managing personnel, communications, facilities, and resources will improve the state's ability to utilize federal funding to enhance local and state agency readiness, maintain first responder safety, and streamline incident management processes. And whereas the incident command system components of NIMS are already an integral part of various incident management activities throughout the state, including all public safety and emergency response organization, training programs, and required by Kentucky law for all emergency responses. And whereas the National Commission of Terrorist Attacks, 9/11 Commission, recommended adoption of a standardized incident command system, Now therefore be it resolved by the Glasgow City Council of Glasgow, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, that all emergency response agencies shall adopt and utilize the National Incident Management System, NIMS, for all incident management and all incident response personnel in Barron County, Kentucky. Section 2, the National Incident Management System is attached hereto as Exhibit A and is hereby adopted by reference to ensure the NIMS is fully incorporated into all emergency response plans, procedures, and policies, and to ensure that all personnel are appropriately trained in the NIMS. Section 3, training of all emergency responders shall be done in coordination with the NIMS compliance officer as designated for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. This resolution shall take effect upon its passage and approval, adopted this 14 January 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor of City of Glasgow. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I have a motion to approve this as read?
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Honeycutt. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Norman. All of those approved signify by saying aye. Aye. Those that do not, by nay. It's passed. The next item on the agenda is stated as a resolution because of that type of item that we're going to have to hear. It has to be stated in an ordinance, so it has been prepared in this form of an ordinance, but it says on here resolution. Nothing's changed other than the designation. And it's an ordinance for the City of Glasgow to make application for and acquire for bonding in the amount of $5 million and no cents to finance the water park project recently initiated by the City of Glasgow.
Now let me explain for the ones that I didn't get to talk to. I was requested to draft an ordinance for this late last week, and in preparing for tonight I drafted a resolution instead of an ordinance. Quite often, and over the weekend I thought of some reasons why maybe it should be an ordinance instead of a resolution. So you have before you tonight a resolution and an ordinance for exactly the same thing, and since the ordinance that I provided does not materially change any issue within the decision that has to be made, other than it's an ordinance instead of a resolution, it's proper to consider that. Now, if the group would rather do it as a resolution, you certainly have that authority. And I can do this and read all four documents, because one is a resolution for $5 million for the aquatic center only. One is a resolution for $6.5 million that would cover the aquatic center and $1.5 million to upgrade our city parks. Then they were redone as an ordinance with exactly the same facts in that. It's just an ordinance instead of a resolution. Now the reason that I thought maybe it should be changed to an ordinance is because we're dealing with a bonding authority, and I was afraid they might get into the process, and when their attorneys were examining the documents, come back and say we need an ordinance instead of a resolution, because an ordinance actually carries a little bit more power or terms of commitment like a statute would. So that's why I went ahead and did the ordinance, so that maybe it would save time if we did it as an ordinance instead of a resolution. But we could do it either way, because we have the documents here to do both. So, you know, if I can go with the resolutions first or the ordinances first, or we could just do the ordinances and not do the resolution, which is my recommendation.
Hey Buzz, you told me to remind you about amending that the water park's not the whole $5 million. It's about a 4.5, could be down to 4. So it would be water park and upgrade of parks, whatever money was left. So I don't know if that's the time I'm supposed to amend that, and it may be on this new one here. You and I talked about that.
I think it needs to be done in an ordinance, because anything that is binding for a term and not as permanent versus a resolution can be a temporary or not a non-lengthy binding. So if we do it by an ordinance, we won't have to come back and redo it when we get into the other process.
And in answer to his question, I think once there's a motion made to adopt the ordinance, then you can make a motion to amend the ordinance to state a minimum of 4 million up to 5 million, or whatever wording you want to put in there, and amend that ordinance before it gets voted on, so that you'd vote on the amendment and then vote on the ordinance as amended.
Wouldn't you first have that in there to vote, to somebody make a motion on?
You've got to have a motion. I'll need to read the ordinance, and then you can make the motion to approve the ordinance, but before it's voted on, you make the motion to amend it.
Okay.
So you've got to have a motion on the floor before you can make the amendment. So between moving to approve it and voting on it, you make your motion to amend.
Okay. Well, that's fine, whatever.
Okay. I'll stop everything if you need me to.
No, hey,
I'm serious.
I just thought this had to be right to vote on the first, and
Well, the amendment's what makes it like you want it.
got it. Okay, you tell me, I'm good.
So I'll just do the ordinance, which is my recommendation, and if you
Perfect.
want to vote that down and have the resolution, vote it down, we'll do the resolution. And we can do that either way you want to, okay?
Got it.
Okay. Now, I will read the one for the 6.5 first, and if it passes, of course, then you don't need to even read the one for the 5, because that's included. And then if the 6.5 does not pass, then you can do the one for the 5 and go forward from there. Okay? An ordinance for the City of Glasgow to make application for and acquire bonding in the amount of $6,500,000 and no cents to finance the Aquatic Center project recently initiated by the City of Glasgow. That whereas the Planning and Development Committee of this council recommended that the city undertake the construction of an aquatic center as a recreational facility for the citizens of Glasgow, whereas the firm of Hilliard Lyons is prepared to enter into a bonding agreement to provide bond financing for the projects, now therefore be it ordained by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, that Harold Armstrong, Mayor of the City of Glasgow, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to make application on behalf of the city for a bond issue to be administered through Hilliard Lyons, which, if approved, will be used to construct the Aquatic Center project at the old VFW Park in Glasgow and update the other Glasgow City parks. The total request shall be in the amount of $6,500,000 and no cents to be allocated as follows. $5 million and no cents for the Aquatic Center project, and $1,500,000 and no cents for city park updates. Section 2, that Harold Armstrong, Mayor of the City of Glasgow, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary in order to make application for and secure bonding through Hilliard Lyons, which shall be amortized over a 20-year period, being $454,100 and no cents, repaid per year over the 20-year life of the bonds, payments to be made monthly. This ordinance shall take effect upon its passage and publication according to law. Harold Armstrong, Mayor, Jamie McFarland, City Clerk, and then as an ordinance, it would require a reading and a vote tonight, and then a reading and a second reading at the next meeting.
Do I hear a motion to approve this ordinance as read?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Gauntz makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Neal. All those in favor of this?
We need to discuss it
Mayor.
first. Yeah, well, we got to amend it first, what he just said.
He needs to do that now.
Mayor Armstrong, can we have some questions on the
Yes, I'll call for discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to, if I could speak, just one, the $5 million on this, do I need to amend it now? Because it's not.
You can do discussion and then amend it, or you can just go ahead and amend it now.
Let's just have discussion. And
there may be some discussion.
Can I say something?
Yeah, I recognize Councilman Gauntz.
The 2 years ago, when I got on this council, we spent the last 2 years leasing new police cars, buying new fire department trucks. Had a hook and ladder truck. We, on our way to run, we just had a hook truck because the ladder fell off the truck. We pretty much have revamped all the city buildings with new air conditioners. We had air conditioners that were over 40 years old here. For the last 2 years, when I got here, they were already working on the upgrade for our parks. And we engaged Branstetter Carroll, Mr. Norris, Ms. Kirkpatrick, Ms. Lowry, a couple people that didn't run for re-election. We've pushed this thing as far, to the point of whether these 12 people are going to vote to fund this. I just want to kind of go through briefly. Twyman Park has been there about roughly 30 years. Beaver Trail's been there roughly 30 years. Weldon Park's been there roughly 40 years. Gorham Park's been there roughly 40 years, and American Legion's been there 30 years. I'm going to be honest with you, Twyman Park, I'm embarrassed to be a city councilman with the park where Twyman Park is. Gorham Park, I grew up there. Half of Gorham Park's in a floodplain. So you're not going to be able to do anything with either one of those. We can, the 12 people will vote. In my opinion, we owe our kids better than that. As comparison, in Warren County, not Bowling Green, but Warren County, they are bonded close to $50 million just on their parks. We have bonded zero. We've gone through a 2-year study with Branstetter and Carroll. This is their recommendation. Their recommendation is an aquatic center for the kids. Their recommendation of why the aquatic center would be where it is because the police station is right next door, and as you go, they wanted something with a road out in front of it. Some would say maybe put it at Weldon Park or somewhere else, but you need visibility to go there. I'm firmly convinced, unless the finance Stephanie or Joe would tell me that we don't have money. This is a big ask. This right here would be the Cadillac. This right here would be $4.5 to $4 million. The aquatic center. We as a recreation department or recreation committee have not approved the financing, but what you see in Branstetter Carroll's book has been approved by the 4 of us and the other people that were there. We recently purchased a park based on their recommendations next to the post office. Some would say that was a bad deal, some would say it was a good deal. When Mr. Bale was alive, they bought the post office from him on about 1/4 of the size for $275,000. Fast forward 15 years, we bought it for $320,000. Me personally, I'm 1 of 12. I think we got a good deal on it. I think if you take a compass and you draw a mile circle around this park downtown, there's a lot of families that have no way to get anywhere else. Mr. Dickinson, if everybody doesn't have a aquatic center, bonding, get it from him. But like I said, this will be the Cadillac. $4.5 million for the water park. Maybe we could par it down to $4 million. Maybe it's going to be in that range. So then that's going to leave you $2 million. What I would recommend is I would like to move Twyman Park and give that neighborhood the decency of what they should have had from day one. I'd like to do the city park down here to give the people that have no way to get to a park this park. And I would like to redo the bus routes to where we could take children from impoverished areas or not impoverished to the water park. So my recommendation would be this would be the Cadillac at $6.5 million if you want to do it right. There's another resolution or ordinance coming in a minute for $5 million if you want to do the best you could. So anybody knows me knows I fight hard for kids, especially in the privileged kids, so I'm going to fight hard for this. And I may get outvoted 11-1, and I can respect that. But I want everybody to vote how they're going to vote, whether it's the 6.5 or the 5 million, because the people that voted for you need to know what your favor is. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Councilman Renell.
Yes, Mayor Armstrong and other city council members, I've had the opportunity to run through the master plan. As Councilman Gauntz mentioned, that plan obviously mentions about the aquatic center. However, I believe there are other items that need to be addressed first. When you look at the master plan, it calls for the condition of our parks to be improved. The condition of our parks is poor. Security cameras are non-existent. Lighting is poor. No drinking fountains. Bathrooms. If you go to the bathroom today, we can go to the bathroom at Gorham Park. It's closed. You want to go to the bathroom at Twyman Park? It's closed. You go to Weldon Park? It's closed. And do you know, if you go to Weldon Park, we have one bathroom that's ADA compliant. It's shared by the men and women. That's not right. Go to Twyman Park, you want to go across the bridge, try to get across the bridge in a wheelchair. It's in poor condition. And in the master plan, it points out over and over again in the online survey, in the mail survey, and the sessions held, that the improvements to our parks needed to be made. I think the improvements need to be made first, that the City of Glasgow does not need to undertake the building of an aquatic center. People in the surveys mention the reason they don't participate in the parks, 30% don't participate because of security issues. 30% of the respondents to the survey said they don't go because of security. They don't feel safe. Another 30% don't go because of the condition of the facilities. We've got to improve the parks. We don't need to build a new aquatic center. We need to make it where people can go and enjoy what we have. We got to improve it. We've got a deficit relating to our parks. A deficit. And we as a body of the legislative body for the citizens of Glasgow, you look at where we can spend the money and get the most impact from it. And if we've got 30% of the people saying that filled out the survey, and there are about 800 people that filled out the survey, if they don't feel safe in using our parks, we're saying they're not important. There's no cameras there, the lighting is poor, and then when we say that you can't use a bathroom right now, and Director Furlong is here, we can't use the bathrooms because it's winter. There's no heat. The pipes freeze. So if you're out at Weldon Park and you're playing tennis right now, you cannot go to the bathroom. I'm playing basketball at Twyman Park, I can't go to the bathroom because it's not open, it's not accessible. So as we look as how we can best improve our parks, we need to come back to the Parks and Recreation Committee through our director and identify the needs that are going to make the most impact right now. And if 30% of the people are telling us they don't feel safe, what do we need to do? If the bathrooms are outdated, what do we need to do? I think the survey is telling us what their priority is. An aquatic center would be nice for Glasgow. I'd love to have an aquatic center, but we have other needs first of where we need to spend the money. So to my fellow council members and to the citizens of Glasgow, I support the improvements to the parks, but not in this matter that's in the two ordinances before us tonight.
If I could speak to some of those numbers as being part of the Recreation Committee as well as the steering committee that was part of this design, and I'm familiar with the 30% of the security cameras in the bathrooms, and as a parent, an educator, a council member, I cannot disagree with anything that Councilman Bunnell said in terms of the conditions of the restrooms and the security of our kids. But one of the things about surveys and statistics is sometimes it's how you look at it, because I can take the same 779 surveys that came back through the mail and through online and tell you that 76% of the people who responded said they supported the building of an aquatic center and the upgrade to our current parks. I can tell you that 59% of the people who contributed money at the first Hops and Horses event said that they would use that money for an aquatic center, to upgrade parks, and to purchase land for a new park. So having been through this for 2 years and the feedback, I generally wasn't leaning towards purchasing the Cadillac, as Mr. Gaunt said. I was more upon the reserved $5 million purchase. But, you know, if we want what's best for our kids, then, you know, I kind of lean now towards let's do it all. Maybe we don't build the aquatic center first, but we have the funding to do that. I know I've spoken with some other council members that we are extremely fortunate in the city of Glasgow and in Barron County to have a top-notch water department, street department, that a lot of the things in this master plan we can use in-house labor and man hours for. I know that we've spoke to the water company. I know that there's over $150,000 in the master plan that's reserved for putting Wi-Fi in the parks. I believe we have an electric plant board that is more than qualified to do that for a much lesser cost. So I don't think you can look at these numbers as numbers that are concrete, built in stone numbers, that if we're good stewards of the taxpayers' money and that we're good representatives for our children, and not only our children, but people of older age like to go to the parks as well. I want them to feel safe. I want them to have clean bathrooms. But there's no point in security cameras and clean bathrooms if there's nothing at the park for them to go to. And I think that's what a lot of this money should be used for.
Any other discussion?
Mayor,
Yes. Councilman Norris.
having also served on the planning and development and being a part of that group, listening and trying to hear and listening, tabulating responses from the citizens, and we've been locked in on that for quite a while. I think we're at this point now knowing also that there may be other options. Yes, upgrades, yes. Water park, maybe, because we've been pretty much 100% on this from the Parks and Rec and also from the council, the past council. Now, that doesn't mean that new things can't be done and leaning in a different way. I appreciate that. Maybe it would be good to delay this big vote until the Parks and Rec board can look at some good information we've gotten tonight. I would lean toward stepping back a step or two and coming back. I was for the water park. I voted for it every time. Still believe we need to do that. But we need to appreciate also a difference of opinion sometime and go back some time to the board and give a little bit more thought. So let's do something, but I would appreciate giving us a second chance to look at it from the board and then bring it back.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Well, Mayor, I just want to follow up. Councilman Lowry mentioned the numbers in the master plan. And in the master plan, in the appendix of that master plan, which relate to the mail survey, the highest item mentioned was upgrade the older parks. That's in page 6 and 7 of Appendix E of that document. And then in Appendix C, page 7, in the open house in February of last year, upgrade the existing parks had the highest dollar amount of people where they would put their money. And so, I think we need to focus on the immediate needs relating to the parks. And when we talk about a water park, have we looked at a pro forma on that? Have we looked at engineering? Have we looked at the road where that would be the entrance and exit coming out onto Happy Valley Road, the impact that it would have on traffic there? Because that's a major route in Glasgow, and if you're turning left going west, you're basically turning against 4 lanes of traffic. So there is a congestion there. And then, building it at that particular park, what about future expansion? We're landlocked in that location. So again, these are all needs that I would encourage council members to not vote in favor of either of these ordinances, because we've got a major deficit with our parks, and that's what our citizens are asking for right now, because they're not using the parks like they need to be used, because they're afraid to go to the parks. The facilities are not in good shape. I'm a frequent user of the parks, and I can attest to the condition of the parks. In Gorham Park alone, I've seen 3 fights occur in Gorham Park. 3 fights in Gorham Park.
To answer your question about the roads, excuse me, and I could defer this to Eddie, but a couple of months ago we approved a feasibility study and a design engineering study for Bradenstair Carroll, and they're in the process of bringing that information back to us. All those were items that were brought up in the steering committee, so we don't have those final answers yet.
I'd like to say something too before we vote. I'd love to have a water park. I'd love for all the parks to be sparkly new. But when you look at the dollar and cents of it, of paying for it, I looked at the unappropriated general fund surplus ending balances for the last 15 years. There's not a period in there where you can take a 3-year period and see the general fund going up $2.7 million to or $2.1 million, depending on if you finance it over 20 or 30 years. We just simply cannot make those payments right now. If you look at the fund balance from the time Daddy was mayor to the time it is now, it's really, really gone down. Of course, the times were better back then, but we have to realize the times we're living in now. We need to wait until we can build the general fund balance up consistently by the amounts that these payments would be, and then we can afford to proceed with this park expansion changeover.
With all due respect about the general fund, and I get that, I get the numbers. I think the real number is you got to look at the check account balance. And we've got a landfill that spends a lot of money out there. Some of it's collared in that you got to do, but your question would be to wait. I just read you the years on the parks.
I know.
You know, I mean, they're 30 and 40 years old, and you know, Councilman Benel, I would just ask, in Twyman Park, is that the best we can do with bathrooms, security, whatever? Is that the best for those people in that neighborhood?
Councilman Gauntz, it's not the best we can do. That's why I'm saying that we need to upgrade our parks, but the upgrade of the parks is not to be a part of building a new aquatic center. I think they're totally 2 different items that we need to be looking at.
Yeah, but you believe we need to...
This is not a question and answer.
Okay.
Can I get the floor? I'd like to finish.
You get the floor and you say what you want to say.
I'm sorry.
Same way here.
Thank you, Mayor.
We need to also remember our last audit that we had, where if we paid for the pension plan, we'd be bankrupt. The legislators just now has a new committee. They don't know what they're going to do with pension plan funding. We trust it will be something the city can afford, but we need to wait until that's settled too. That's a major, major expense that's just hanging over our head. Some people forget about it, but like I said, if we had to pay it now, we'd be bankrupt. We couldn't do it.
Can I call a question?
Trigg.
I'm sorry.
Yes, what I'd like to say is by being the new guy back on the council, I had to go out and acquire some information to see what was going on as far as the parks was going. Previous council paid $50K to accomplish the Glasgow Park Master Plan. That same council approved a payment of $25K to accomplish the Aquatic Center Master Plan. And then we approved the purchase of property valued at $320K. To me, it looks like we've already committed ourselves to going with whatever master plan we came up with by spending $400,000 already on it. Now, what I think we need to take, we need to establish a priority plan similar to the one we have for other services that the city provides. And what that'll do is that would give us a rack and stack on park improvements, or when to put in place a water park, since you've already started spending the money. I mean, $400,000 we spent toward this, so we just can't put this plan on the shelf and dust it off. So with that being said, for the benefit of new council members, we may need more time to gather more information to make an informed decision. So concurring with Mr. Councilman Norris, I would like to ask that we probably suspend both of these resolutions to a later date until we can get more information and have a priority plan to work with.
I think it has to come back to Councilman Gauntz if he wants to table it or go through with it since he introduced it. Is that correct?
Actually, Mr. Trigg could move.
Well, I want to make sure we make the right move so that we don't end it.
You can move. Are you moving to table this?
Well, no, I don't want to table it, because I think if we table it, it's almost practically impossible to come off the table. So we don't want to table it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
This would be a question for Sam Day. If we voted on the $6.5 million and we got through and we said, hey, we only need 4, do you have to pull the whole 6.5 at a time? Do you bond it all at one time? Or can you just have like what I would call a line of credit? This is a question I'd ask you.
Traditionally, in this format, you don't bond anything until you know what your fixed costs are.
Well, I understand, but I mean.
But if you're asking, would it be more practical to do it all at once or to do it piecemeal in 2 different issues, it'd be more practical to do it in one issue.
And I was trying to answer Mr. Trigg's question of getting the money in place and then prioritizing.
It doesn't make it impossible to do it in 2 separate issues. It's just not practical to do it.
I mean, I'd like to call the question and vote.
Call the question. Vote. Since this is, don't we need since it's an ordinance, it's first reading, we can do it by voice count, right? And then if it's close, we'll do it by a...
Do it by voice count. If you've got a clear vote, fine.
Okay.
Clear vote, then change it by roll call.
I need a motion to vote on.
You got a motion?
You got a motion.
Have I got a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would the attorney restate what we're doing at this point?
At this point, we're voting on the ordinance to authorize the mayor and direct the mayor to initiate the bonding procedure to get $6.5 million. $5 million would be used for the aquatic center, and $1.5 million would be used to upgrade the city parks.
Excuse me, did you say you already had a motion and a second?
Yes.
Already got a motion and a second.
Do we amend that to 5 million? Because the aquatic center's not 5 million. I just want to make sure that when we vote, it's right.
You could have amended it before you called for the question.
Fair enough.
Now, if you want to
That's fine.
if you want to ask the chair to withdraw the question.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
All those approve of the motion before us signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those approve, like sign.
Nay.
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 Can we have a roll call, please?
Witcher,
No.
Trigg,
Yay.
Norris,
Yay.
Norman,
Nay.
Neal,
Yes.
Lowry,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
No.
Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Fennell,
No.
Eubank,
No.
Gauntz.
Yes, ma'am.
Trigg, can I get your vote again? I'm sorry.
Yes.
And Norris, yours was 7 yes, 6 no.
7-5.
Can't be 7-6, there's just 12 of us.
7-5.
7.
7-5.
4.
First reading passes. And if any of you all want information as far as financial information, I can give you all that. I'm in the office. You know, if you want to clarify some of this other stuff, we have it there at the office. First reading passes, second reading being the next meeting, correct?
Right, and there's no point in second reading the next
No.
because it's redundant.
Correct. We have an ordinance, second reading ordinance amending ordinance number 2018-2921, City of Glasgow annual budget, fiscal year 7/1/2018 through 6/30/2016 by appropriating from the unappropriated general fund $320,000 for the purchase of the property at West Main and West Front in Glasgow per resolution 2018-2397. And that's already been purchased. This is the funding. Please.
Be it hereby ordained by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that the City of Glasgow annual budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2018 through June 30, 2019 is hereby amended as follows. Section 1. There is hereby appropriated from the unappropriated general fund the sum of $320,000 to be transferred to the Parks and Recreation land account 010-6610-8525 for the purchase of land per resolution 2018-2397. This ordinance shall take effect upon its passage and publication according to law. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Roll call vote. Oh, I have a motion. Motion by Brad Gross. Do I have a second? Happy Neal.
Question, Mayor Armstrong. So this money has already been moved?
It is already, by the resolution, they've already done the money for that lot, yes.
Prior to this second reading?
That's correct. That's correct.
I think the money's already been spent, but now we're just doing a budget, to move it in the budget.
To take it out of the budget. I have all those in favor signify by saying oh yeah, roll call.
Benel,
No.
Eubanks,
No.
Gotts,
Yes, ma'am.
Gross,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
Yes.
Kirkpatrick,
No.
Lowry,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Trigg,
Yes.
Witcher.
Yes.
Motion passes. We need to, in times past, the mayor has appointed Mayor Pro Tem to take his place in case he's... Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. I've got one more ordinance. It's second reading ordinance amending City of Glasgow Code of Ordinance Title 3, Administration, Chapter 35 and 35.35, Pre-Hiring Testing Procedure. And that's through the fire department. They're adjusting their testing. You want to read it?
Yeah, I'll read it, but don't read it.
No, that's
An ordinance amending City of Glasgow Code of Ordinances, Title 3, Administration, Chapter 35, Section 35.35, Pre-Hire Testing Procedures. Be it hereby ordained by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that its Code of Ordinances, Title 3, Administration, Chapter 35, Section 35.35, Pre-Hire Testing Procedures, shall be and hereby is amended to read as follows. Any words being added or indicated by a single solid line drawn underneath them, and any words being deleted by a single broken line drawn through the item. I'm just going to read the ordinance the way it's being proposed to be enacted. Qualifications. All applicants must be at least 18 years of age, must possess a high school diploma or GED, and must possess a valid driver's license. All applicants must complete a City of Glasgow employment application. B, pre-hire testing process. All applicants shall undergo standardized written testing as well as a physical agility test designed and implemented by the Glasgow Fire Department. Testing shall be conducted as needed at the direction of the fire chief and/or the mayor. Fire chief shall have the authority to modify the pre-hire testing process from time to time as he or she deems appropriate. C, oral interview process. At the conclusion of all pre-hire testing, applicants shall undergo an oral interview process to be designed and implemented by the fire chief, who shall have the authority to modify the oral interview process from time to time as he or she deems appropriate. D, hiring recommendations. At the conclusion of the oral interview process, hiring recommendations shall be submitted to the mayor for approval or disapproval. Additionally, the mayor may consider for hire any other applicant who has successfully completed the entire pre-hire testing and oral interview process. Section 1. This ordinance shall take effect upon its passage and publication according to law. Mayor Harold Armstrong, Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
I have a motion that we approve this ordinance.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Who was the first?
First was Wendell Honeycutt, correct?
No, Marlon.
Marlon Witcher. And the second was Councilman Neal.
Mayor Armstrong, I had just a couple questions for the fire chief, if I may.
Sure.
Fire Chief Maher, looking at this ordinance, reducing the age from 21 to 18, just your thoughts on that, why we're going to 18 years of age?
There were several reasons why we were asking to go to 18 as opposed to the 21. Many years ago, when this ordinance was initially put into place, there was a industry-wide push towards that later age of 21 as opposed to 18. That, due to decreased number of applicants throughout that period of time, especially in the last 10 years, most city departments have begun going back to that 18 year of age. Bowling Green, Elizabethtown, several departments here close by have already reduced theirs to 18. That is primarily the reason why we want to go back to 18, is to increase. Also here in Glasgow, we've reduced the number of applications. We want to help build up that number, the pool of people we have to choose from when we hire. This reduction in age also, I believe, will give us a better opportunity to get with the younger kids out of high school before they go test at another place 2 or 3 years, possibly even before they go find a higher paying job somewhere or something like that. And also, I would like to point out that 18 years of age, while that is the minimum, would be the minimum age for the application, they still have to go through that entire testing, interview, oral interviews, all that process, where we'll get plenty of opportunity to weed out anyone who doesn't act their age, more or less, without a better way of saying it. The concerns reason that people were going with the 21 years was primarily due to insurance and other items. We've actually contacted KLC, the insurance agent, and asked them that question. Of course, they like to see the older you are before you start driving a city vehicle, especially a large vehicle like a truck. But they are covered at 18 years of age, and would like to point out as well that City of Glasgow Fire Department, whenever someone is hired by the department, we actually require them to go through a year of service in which they're trained extensively throughout that first year before they're even allowed to test for a relief driver of a fire truck. And they're actually required to go through 2 years before they can test for an official promotion to sergeant, which is primarily duties of driving the vehicle or anything like that. Those are the main reasons why we wanted to go with 18. It's to be able to bring more applications to the table and give us a better pool to choose from, for lack of a better term. The rest of this resolution, that was one section, was basically the age change. The rest of the resolution, what we did was take the exact same process that we already had in place and basically took out some of the specific requirements and kept the integrity of the process in place, without having those specific, like a grade average on the written test or something, so that we have flexibility when we buy that test from a third party, so that we're able to use their suggested passing grade on that written test as opposed to being narrowed down to one specific grade by ordinance.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? We've already got a motion and a second. All in favor? No, wait a minute, just got a roll call, I'm sorry.
Benel,
Yes.
Eubank,
Yes.
Gauntz,
Yes, ma'am.
Gross,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
Yes.
Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Lowry,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Trigg,
Yes.
Witcher.
Yes.
All in favor.
Passes unanimous. As I started a while ago, in the past, the mayor has assigned or put somebody in the position as a mayor pro tem in case he's unable to make a meeting, but that's not the correct procedures. You as a council need to nominate somebody from within your ranks and then vote and put them as mayor pro tem for at least 1 year and preferably for a 2-year term. So if y'all would like to discuss it and what it entails, I'll be glad to answer the questions, and then I'll look for someone to nominate somebody within the council to take that position if it arises that you need to.
I've got a name.
Okay?
I think Chastity Lowry would be a good leader in that.
I decline. Thank you, though, Freddie. I appreciate that. Thank you. How has it been? You said in the past the mayor's just chosen someone.
The mayor, and it's been from time to time. Years ago, I've served as a mayor pro tem for more than one occasion, but typically they would just say, I can't be at this meeting, or I can't be at this, I'm going to be out of town for a week. If anything, they would just ask somebody on the council. But according to KLC, that's not proper procedures. We are supposed to, and just as this one resolution we read for the emergency management, it already wants a name to put in that place, so we need to, between you all, need to vote on somebody to represent this office in the place of my absence.
Mayor,
Honeycutt.
Pardon me?
do
Pardon
you,
me?
who are you talking to?
Whoever
More.
I nominate Councilman Honeycutt.
have a nomination for Wendell Honeycutt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor, say.
Hold on.
Had somebody she wanted to.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's more, yeah.
I was just gonna ask if you knew who had served the longest term on the council right now.
Longest continuous? I'd say it'd be Brad
Brad
Gross.
Gross.
Any other nominations?
Well, Mayor, what I would say is the people have already spoken over maybe who should be the mayor pro tem, and that would be the #1 vote getter.
That's not correct.
Well, I mean, but in
That's not correct.
I know, but I'm just saying that's the route that I would go is the people have already chosen, and if we followed that, then it could go down from who was the #1 through #2, #3. So if that's the case, then Mr. Happy Neal, Councilman Neal would be the one I would vote
If you
for.
want to nominate him, you
Yes.
can, but that's not the procedure. The procedure is you in here need to nominate somebody and vote on them. It has nothing to do with the vote.
Right. And, well, another issue, another time.
Okay. Do I have another nomination?
Yes, Councilman Neal.
All right, do I have a second? Have a second from Gauntz. All those in favor of the first nomination, which is Wendell Honeycutt, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. I guess we need to do the same procedure on Mr. Neal. Everybody that's in favor of Mr. Neal, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Okay.
Mayor, I'm confused. We're gonna slow down.
All right.
You got two nominees,
Yes?
and where are we at with the first one?
Well, the first one, we had
How many did you have on that vote?
let's do a roll call and everybody can have it that way. I had it 11-1, but let's do a roll call on,
So we're only voting on two nominees, right?
right now, we're voting on one.
Okay.
Mr. Honeycutt.
Can we just vote for a person?
Just say the person that you're going
Yeah,
to vote
you can
for.
do that.
Yeah.
Just do a roll
You can
call.
do that. We'll have a roll call vote. You just, when she calls your name, you say who you're voting for. We can calculate it that way. That'll be one vote. Just go roll call.
Witcher,
Honeycutt.
Tree,
Neil.
Norris,
Honeycutt.
Lowry,
Honeycutt.
Neal,
Neil.
Norman,
Honeycutt.
Gross,
Mail.
Honeycutt,
Honeycutt.
Kirkpatrick,
Honeycutt.
Benel,
Honeycutt.
Eubank,
Honeycutt.
Gotts,
Neil. Congratulations. Look forward to working with you. I agree with you about the numbers. That ain't the rules, though. Don't be coming in there changing.
Honeycutt 8, Neal 4. Honeycutt will be mentioned as the mayor pro tem in all this paperwork we've done tonight from this point forward. I have a few announcements. One we've already spoke of is the elevator in City Hall. We have some of the parts in. The rest of them are supposed to be in this week. They're supposed to start work sometime the end of this week or first of next week, putting it all back together. It'll probably take 2 weeks from the time they start. The next meeting will be here at the same place. City Hall will be closed January 21st in observation of of Martin Luther King Day. Monday's trash will be picked up on Tuesday early, and on Monday the 21st there'll be a short celebration at 12 noon, at 12 noon over at the courthouse, and then there'll be a walk down to First Baptist Church. I think it's 611 South Lewis, and there'll be a service down there starting at 1. And they will have a service on Sunday at the same location at 6 p.m. at the First Baptist Church on South Lewis the day before that. Is there any other announcements? If there's none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Have a first and a second. We are adjourned.
Don't forget to sign the paper. You've all got to sign it.
Would everybody, before you leave, please sign on the bottom of this? You got the one that we need to sign on?
There's all the page numbers and master plan statistics that I wish.
I think everybody wants to.
You might have one on better paper.
Hey,
Provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in